professional. I think I missed one, which would be Cooking Matters for parents. It's really great to be able to provide this opportunity across the state in partnership with Hannaford. Because what's really great about the program is not only do we cook in the class, but then we turn around and we provide groceries for people to be able to make a meal at home, to reinforce the lessons that they learned in the classroom. What's really great about that, so we know that people who live in poverty purchase the foods that they know and love. And the reason why is because if they step outside of that, there might potentially be food waste. Cooking Matters provides the ability for people to be able to try new things without feeling like they might be wasteful. Again, the partnership with Hannaford that we have to be able to offer these classes really has allowed us to be able to provide that opportunity for people. Cooking Matters does not take somebody from eating their regular foods to quinoa and kale the next day. What we do is we actually take the foods that people know and love and teach them strategies to make those in a healthier way. So let me give you an example. We'll do pizza, and we actually make the pizza crust, and we utilize whole grain flour when we do that. And then when we're topping it, we're utilizing a tomato sauce that we're actually seasoning with no salt added. So instead of buying a large tomato sauce or a pizza sauce that has lots of sodium in it, we're actually teaching people to make their own sauce, about 59 cents for that can, and very, very limited funding for the spices that go into it. So what's really great is then we teach people those strategies of ways that they can top that pizza with a really great budget. We utilize low-fat cheese, and then we encourage lots of veggies on that pizza. So what's really great is we're not saying you can't eat pizza. What we're saying is let's talk about it. Let's talk about a way that you can eat pizza and have it be a healthier model, a healthier version. We also teach people how to make turkey or chicken burgers or veggie burgers. We encourage people to try new things like tofu or something like a black bean burger. I recently taught a class with families, and we were doing a veggie stir fry, and they could pick between chicken or tofu. And I was absolutely amazed that 3/4 of the class chose to select tofu. One, because they hadn't tried it before, and they were really excited about the opportunity to be able to try this new ingredient. And it was great. It was really exciting to hear their feedback, for them to try something new, and also to be really excited about incorporating in their future meals. We also offer a one-time grocery store tour called Cooking Matters at the Store. And this is where we actually take people to the grocery store and walk them around the grocery store and teach them strategies to purchase healthy on a budget. Some of the things that we talk about are that there are different places that you can buy fruits and vegetables at the grocery store, not just in the fresh produce section. We talk about fresh, canned, and frozen. We talk about how to select a whole grain and what a whole grain is and what it means to our bodies. We also talk about unit pricing and price comparison. We talk about shopping the store brand and how that's a really great value. So I love my job here at the food bank. I'm in my favorite place at the food bank. So the one thing I want to share with you is some of the strategies that we do utilize in helping to support not only Cooking Matters, but also general nutrition education throughout our network with our over 400 pantries across the state. So it's apple season, my favorite time of year. One, because they're grab and go. This is actually the size of a serving of an apple. And right now, toad apples at the grocery store at Hannaford are 79 cents a pound. These are strategies that I would teach within a class. What's great is they're about 3 to 4 apples per pound. So when you start breaking it down, this is about 20 cents for this apple. So think about a really great nutritious snack that you can send your kids to school with. It has its natural packaging on it, so you don't have to throw it in a baggie. You just rinse it and eat it. And it contains a lot of fiber and really good vitamins and minerals for you. So what else I like to do with these is show strategies that you can do with them in other cooking practices. So earlier this week, I made applesauce. I took a bunch of apples and I poured them and I peeled them and I put them in a pot. Simple, with just a little bit of water. That's it. And I stirred it occasionally and then it became applesauce. what I love is when we teach these strategies, oftentimes I hear people say, I didn't know that that was how you made applesauce. And wow, that's really simple. I'm going to do that at home. And also I share, you know, there's times when maybe I've had too many apples and they sit around and pretty done with apples. Apples, when you get to the end of the product, are even better in applesauce at that time. Maybe they're a little mushy. Maybe you don't like mushy apples and you realize that after you got them. So applesauce is a great way to be able to do that. So super simple. What I'm going to share with you are 2 recipes. They're so easy. Throw together recipes. The first is an applesauce muffin. I have 2 cups of flour. I've used a white wheat and then half white wheat and half regular white flour. The reason why I like to mix it up, I like to utilize a little more whole grains in my diet. So that's why I've chosen the white wheat and then the regular all-purpose flour. I have a cup of sugar. You can cut the sugar down if you want. I have found, I'm following the recipe as it is, but you know, there's a lot of natural sweetness in apples, so you can always cut that down. This is putting all of the dry ingredients together. You'll see how fast this comes together. This is 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of cinnamon, of course. What goes better with apples than cinnamon? I love it. You can add other spices here if you like nutmeg or ginger or any other fall spice, feel free to add it. And a pinch of salt, which I did not do. I tend not to add salt to my stuff, so I sometimes leave that out. That's it. So we're just gonna give this a mix. We have those ingredients, and then we're just gonna add a stick of melted butter. If you don't wanna use butter, you could also use a vegetable oil if you would like. 1 beaten egg, and a cup of applesauce. This is it. You don't even need a hand mixer for this. You just need your arm to be able to mix this together. Now I have prepared a muffin tin, and this is a mini muffin tin. The reason why I like to use a mini muffin tin is because they're nice, handy to go, little grab and go, and you can have a couple of them. Kids really like those packaged mini muffins, so you can make those right at home. All I'm doing is mixing this together, and then I'm going to add the muffin mix into there, and we're going to throw them into the oven. They take about 18 to 20 minutes to cook. The other thing that you can do with this mixture is if you wanted to add maybe some chopped up apples, you could, or maybe a little nuts if you want. This is super easy, super simple. So I'll just show you 1 or 2 of these. It's going to take this, pop a little right in there, and then later I'm going to throw these into the oven. But what I like to share is that applesauce can also substitute for some sugar. So if we, like I said, if you wanted to reduce the sugar, by all means, you could also increase the applesauce just a little to help some of that natural sweetness. One of the other recipes that I want to share with you is super, super easy. We're making quick oats, and at the end, all we're going to do is add a touch of brown sugar and some applesauce, which is going to provide a lot of natural sweetness. This is 2 cups of water, a cup of quick oats. These are quick oats. These take 3 minutes to cook on the stove. Literally, you add all of these ingredients in the pan. This is a half a teaspoon of ginger. Yes, fall spices, right? We love it. It's pumpkin spice season. So think about pumpkin spice. That's ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, a splash of vanilla, and literally I splash it. We're gonna throw this on the stove. We're gonna cook this for 3 minutes. And then at the end, we are going to add our applesauce and a touch of brown sugar. So I ask you, what questions might you have for me in terms of the program work that we are doing here at Good Shepherd Food Bank as it relates to Cooking Matters? And I just want to close by sharing that my work here at the food bank expands far beyond just the nutrition and the education programs. We work very hard at the food bank to ensure that nutrition is a priority of our work. We do believe that it's important for us to focus on nutritious foods, so that we're setting people up for success as they are navigating the world of possibly being in poverty. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity to thrive when it comes to nutritious foods that they're receiving at their local food pantries. So I ask you any questions that I might be able to answer.
Yes, so participants, feel free to unmute yourselves if you have a question for Courtney. And while you're thinking of one, Courtney, I might just ask you the question of, well, I might say you look awfully natural on camera these days. How have you transitioned Cooking Matters for our COVID world in the past couple of months?
Thank you, Erin, for prompting me. And I said I would get there, and I totally went right past that, and I apologize. So we have pivoted to virtual programming across the state. So we have prepared some videos in terms of being able to share the recipes in class. And then we come together with the participants after they've had an opportunity to watch the videos, to be able to make a meal at home, and then we talk about it. So they're still receiving that very valuable engagement when it comes to what we call facilitative dialogue, being able to talk about things that we liked or maybe what we didn't like about the recipes. But also then at that time, we're reinforcing the nutrition education, the pieces that go into why it's important for us to consider making healthier changes in our diet. So for example, I shared with you, I would make this modification, this recipe modification of using a white whole wheat in my muffins. And the reason why is because a whole grain is important for our bodies. The whole grain versus the refined grain. The whole grain provides fiber. It also helps to flush our bodies of toxins. And so we talk about that stuff. We talk about why a whole grain might be better for us. It keeps us fuller longer. So people have an understanding. So thank you, Erin, for asking that question and reminding me that we have moved to virtual programming. What I'll also share is in different parts of the state, we've also are still doing in-person programming, but it looks a little different. And how it looks a little different is that we have stations. When classes used to be extremely engaged with the participants and having, a lot of opportunity to work with each other, we've really had to, based on the guidelines from the CDC, to be able to keep it close. And that means that a family unit or a person has everything they need at a station to be able to prepare what they need for that recipe for that day. So thank you, Erin.
Do you feel that you might be reaching more people having the online option where people can kind of tune into those at a time that's more convenient than when there were classes together? I know there's a lot of value in coming together to cook a meal and make a meal, but I've also noticed there's value in reaching more people when that time frame is more flexible.
Thank you, Jenny, for bringing that up. And yes, what we found is we've been able to reach people that we might not have been able to prior to COVID, because Cooking Matters really does require prior did require it to be hands-on and in person. What we're doing is we're learning that there is an opportunity for us to be able to offer virtual programming when in fact that wasn't an option prior. Cooking Matters is a program of what's called Share Our Strength. So we offer in partnership with Share Our Strength. So we look for guidance from them. But we've also been able to say we've done a few of these unique things, and we're finding that we're having an opportunity to reach more people. And so in collaboration, we've been able to move forward with doing virtual programming. And yes, Jenny, we've had an opportunity to be able to reach people that we may not have been able to reach prior to COVID. So I would say that's something that's positive that has come out of this. Also, we've been able to have centralized classes, whether it is in one location where we're able to reach people across the state. So I might be in Auburn, but I have people from Bethel or Waterville or Bar Harbor who are participating in the class that I'm offering.
Any other questions from the group?
Well, Courtney, could you give us a sense of the scope, like how many people go through this program in a year?
Yeah, thank you so much, Frank, for reminding me about that prompt. I wrote that down to share, and then it slipped my mind. So prior to COVID, we were actually on target to have our largest year ever with the amount of classes that were being offered. We were on track to offer about 350 class series, which is up 75 class series from the previous year, where we landed on 275 class series. We closed out this year with a large number, but due to COVID, about 60 of the classes that were planned were not able to take place because we needed time to figure out. I think if when I think back to the beginning of COVID, we thought this was going to be 2 weeks. And then it was 2 months. And we were like, okay, now we need to start moving forward. So there was a lot of trying to understand what was going to happen as we were moving through COVID. So we shifted our focus on more nutrition resources out to our pantries as they related to the boxes that they were distributing that Kristen mentioned in partnership with LL Being. So what we did was the nutrition team pivoted it at that time to be able to focus on some of that stuff, and at the same time working behind the scenes to be able to create a virtual model that would be helpful to implement with our partners across the state. We're able to do that amount of classes because of the partnerships that we have. Just want to stress that I'm a very small team. I have one other staff person that works with me full-time on the nutrition work here at the food bank. And then I have AmeriCorps members who help to implement about 30 classes a year. So when we think about the work that the food bank is actually doing in terms of that implementation, we're a small piece of that. But what I do is we do a train the trainer. We teach those nutrition educators across the state who work for SNAP-Ed or with the FNEP program or Let's Go to be able to help implement statewide. That has been a wonderful opportunity for us to reach so many more Mainers across the state.
Yeah, Courtney, we're about to be cut off. There's just a few seconds left, so I think everyone will return to the main room, but thank